Hello, my wonderful, beautiful friends. Guys, welcome back to r/IDontWorkHereLady, where people think it's totally okay to assault employees. And in today's episode, one Karen immediately regrets it. Guys, I hope you enjoy the fantastic stories today, and do remember to hit that subscribe button for future stories. One day, I was shopping at the local Walmart and had my headphones in. These headphones are incredibly nice, and they were a gift from my parents. I had just gotten off work and was in business casual. I was in khakis and a gray polo. No logo, nothing to indicate that I worked at Walmart. I was looking in the freezer section for some ice cream for dessert that night when all of a sudden, someone yanks my headphones off my head and they fall to the ground. Cue Karen starting to yell at me, saying, "I've been trying to get your attention. You shouldn't be listening to music while you're working. How can you help customers if you can't even hear them?" Now, I'm seeing red. If she damaged my headphones, there was gonna be hell to pay. I then lean down to pick up my headphones, and I say to the crazy woman, "Don't you ever touch me again, you crazy lady. I don't effing work here. Touch me again, and I'll scream so loud the store is gonna hear." At this, Karen responds, "Don't you talk to me like that. I'm a customer." Now, she said that as she grabbed my bicep to haul me to a manager like a child to be punished. So I let her have it. I screamed the loudest, ear-piercing scream that I could possibly muster. It startled her so bad that she let go of me and dropped her purse. Not even 20 seconds later, the manager comes running with a security guy. The manager demands to be told what was going on. I told him this crazy woman assaulted me. She tore my headphones off my head and then she grabbed me. I told him I feared for my life, which was a complete embellishment, so I screamed. By now, we have an audience, and the manager takes both of us and separates us. Luckily for me, a very nice woman was a little further down the aisle, and she saw the whole thing. She then told the security guy what happened and backed up my story. The manager asked if I wanted to press charges, and I told him no, I just wanted my ice cream and to go home. He then told me to take it. It was on him. As I was leaving, I saw the crazy woman getting thrown out of Walmart by security and being told to never set foot in the store again. My headphones were okay. If she had damaged my property, I was gonna press charges, but since they weren't, I felt public humiliation was enough. Guys, that is absolutely the best defense against Karen. A loud shriek. Now, the only thing that might have been better is if OP started barking at her ferociously. Also, who the heck thinks yanking headphones off of someone's head is okay? Like, there's way too many stories where people get earbuds yanked off their heads or headphones pulled off their head, and I don't know how people just don't start swinging when that happens. Now, this happened a few months ago, but the problem's been going on for years. Every other month, I would get a text message from someone asking for a doctor or to make an appointment. I started off immediately informing them that they've got the wrong phone number. As it happens, when it started happening more frequently, I dealt with a minor annoyance by trying to have some fun. They would ask, "Is Dr. Lee available?" At that, I would respond, "There's no Dr. Lee here, only Dr. Wong. Dr. Wong number." Now, it was funny until the volume of messages started to increase, and I got annoyed. A quick Google search led me to the clinic's page. Their number was indeed easily mistakable for mine. Their phone number ends with a 013 and mine ends with a 073, and the font used certainly made it worse. I called the clinic to inform them of this problem and that they needed to do something about it. Change the font, spell the numbers out, or even change the numbers. I just wanted the messages to stop. The lady just brushed me off, and she said there's nothing she could do. I then asked to speak to someone in charge, but was denied. She then told me to change my number or just deal with it. So here comes the part where I dealt with it. After an odd month of peace, I received several messages over a week asking me to make an appointment. I would get, "Hi, I would like to make an appointment, please." And I would reply, "Sure, the next available spot is Friday at 10 o'clock. Would that work for you?" I made sure to never claim that I represented the clinic. If someone asked for a specific doctor, I would say there's no such person here. And if they asked for the clinic, I would inform them that they got the wrong number. Basically, I had myself covered, and I tried to have everybody's appointment at the same time. When Friday comes around, I received several angry replies from those people, and I had a call from the clinic. So the messages generally went like this. They would say, "You're a terrible person. Why would you do this to waste my time? Why did you pretend to be the clinic?" And I would reply, "I'm sorry, ma'am, but I run a PC repair service. I was expecting you at 10, but you didn't show. If you looked at your message, you never asked if I was the clinic, and I never claimed to be the clinic." And the call from the clinic went like this. The clinic lady would say, "Hi, who's this? Why did you pretend to be us and arrange all these appointments?" I told her, "I called you months ago letting you know about this, but you told me to deal with it, so I set up appointments for them to see me. It's not my fault they showed up at your door. Maybe you should change your phone number." I then hung up. Now sure, I felt a little bad making those people travel to the clinic, but I've since stopped receiving messages from random people. And after checking the clinic site, they now have an online appointment making system. They told OP to deal with it, and that's exactly what they did. I love how the story is a mix of petty revenge and malicious compliance, which makes it all that sweeter, guys. And the Dr. Wong number, I got a good chuckle out of that. So in college, a bunch of guys and I rent a beat-up old house in town next to a daycare. The problem is, the parents picking up and dropping off the kids always park in our driveway. We argue with the owner of the daycare every day, and she doesn't care. So one day, I begin parking behind the parents who are parked in my driveway. This infuriates the daycare owner. We go back and forth, and usually I go out to move my car so the parents can get their car out. One day though, I just had it. I worked most of the night, had early morning classes, and I have 20 minutes to shave and shower and get ready for my second job. I get home, and sure enough, the parents are in our driveway. Again. So I park behind them and go inside. I get in the shower, and when I get out, the daycare owner's beating on the door loud enough to shake the wall. I go downstairs wrapped in a towel and open the door. She bursts into the middle of the room and screams at me. While she's screaming, I take the towel off and calmly dried my hair. I'm buck naked. She then stops screaming long enough to realize that she's standing next to a naked college student. She then screams something about calling the cops for exposing myself to her, and she bolts for the door. Now, the door doesn't open. In her haste to leave, she's locked the door instead of unlocking it. Now she's stuck in here with me. I tell her that I have the key to unlock the door, and the key's upstairs on my dresser. I leave her looking like she's about to have a heart attack. I then take the longest time to go upstairs and get dressed and get the key. When I come back down to the living room, she's white as a ghost. I unlock the door and say, "It sucks to be stuck and not be able to leave, right?" Fast forward 20 minutes later, when I'm leaving and a cop is parked in front of my house. I chat with them through the car window. I explain the situation and they chuckle asking, "Did you invite her in?" I tell them, "No, she just came into my house." They said, "Well, it's not a crime to be naked in your own house. That's her problem for violating your privacy." Now, I'd love to say that this rectified the situation, but it didn't. We never found a way to stop the parents from parking in the driveway, but it was fun for a few minutes to freak out a stuck-up, mean, middle-aged woman. Okay, so first of all, let's address this crazy serial killer lock that OP has in his house, where you need a key to unlock it from the inside. So I did a bit of Googling, and guys, apparently they're called double-cylinder deadbolts, and I'll throw a picture up right here, which I had no idea existed. Which leads to the question of how the woman locked herself in OP's home. Secondly, if you barge into someone's home and they're naked, that's on you, okay? You don't get to call the police for indecent exposure. That's Karen level. So this happened a few days ago. I went to Subway to get some lunch, since Subway's my favorite fast food chain, and I just ordered my usual sandwich. Now the place I go to isn't very busy, so the employees mess around in the back. Enter stage Karen. So as I was eating my sandwich, I get a tap on the shoulder and a throat clear. I look back thinking it was an employee, and it was Karen. I respond to her saying, yes? She says, "What do you mean, yes? Get off break and make me a sandwich." At that I say, "I don't work here, sorry." Karen says, "Stop lying. It's so obvious you work here," pointing at my green shirt. "And besides, no one else is here." I told her again, "I'm sorry, but I just don't work here." At this, she screams and says, "Yes, you do. Stop being lazy." She then picks up my food and literally throws it. The workers hear the commotion and they come out to investigate, saying, "What's going on here?" I begin to explain, but before I could finish, she interrupts saying, "Okay, so this employee is swearing at me, saying I'm fat, and refusing to make me food. I want him fired." The employee looks at her and says, "He doesn't work here, ma'am. He's one of our usuals." I then tell him that she threw my food on the floor. They finally notice the sandwich on the floor and they ask her to leave. Now. While Karen's screaming, "I want my sandwich." The employee then says they're calling the police. And as soon as she heard the word police, she ran as fast as she could out of there, avoiding trouble. The employee then asked if I want another sandwich, and I tell him yeah. So I got my sandwich and a cookie. That was an interesting lunch. Guys, seriously, I don't understand people's logic sometimes. Even if OP was an employee, what makes her think she'll get served after she throws their food on the floor? Like, I'd be terrified to have an employee make a sandwich for me after treating them like that. That kind of behavior gets you a little extra something something in your sandwich, if you know what I mean. So a while ago, when I was on my break from the retail store I work at, I was shopping in the electronics store, directly next to the store I work at. I was wearing the store uniform, which is a very distinctive red and khaki with a jacket on top, as well as my name tag, which very clearly states what store I work at. Anyways, enter the crazy mom and her 4 kids. A Karen, if you will. I hear this piercing whistle from behind me a few times, so I looked over my shoulder because damn, it was loud. And this lady's barreling towards me with her kids in tow. As I turned to her to see what all the hustle and whistling was about, she grabs my wrist and knocks my phone out of my hand. I then look down and I can see glass shards everywhere as the phone is smashed. So I give her the classic, "What the F, lady?" To which she responds by hysterically screaming that employees should not be texting while working, and that I should be ashamed of keeping her waiting because I was texting. I then turn to walk away, and she screams in a rage as she kicked my ankle as I was walking away. This caused me to trip, spraining my ankle. I pretty much face planted and nailed my shoulder on the shelving. Her kids then start laughing and pointing at me. About this point was when an employee rushes over, and he was able to help me up and see if I was okay. Now, she finally thinks for a second, and a whole new look comes over her face as she realized that I don't work at the store in the first place. Her face goes pale. Then another new look as I told the employee to call police. Upon hearing police, she starts pleading with me, begging me not to call police, that it was just a mistake and she was just having a bad day. So long story short, she was arrested on assault charges and eventually had to replace my phone. Second, she was given 350 hours of community service. Third, I was awarded a decent sum of money. And my personal favorite is she has to pay and attend therapy sessions for the next few years, on account of her rage issues. Now, the crazy thing about this story, guys, is she thought it was okay to do that to an employee. She only freaked out when she realized that it was a customer that she assaulted. Like, way to set an example for your kids, Karen. And I'm happy she got what she deserved. And I know I say this a lot, but I hope she learned her lesson. Okay, so I had a fun one the day after Christmas. I got lots of gift cards, so I went to a store that has an I for a logo because I wanted to try to get a pair of iPods. I keep my badge for work on a lanyard, and I use a keychain and loop to attach it to my pants, since I have a real habit of misplacing it. Anyways, I was looking for something sweet after not getting my AirPods since they were sold out, and this crabby old woman comes waddling down the cookie aisle. At the time, I had my headphones in listening to Being Scared, which is an awesome YouTube channel for fans of horror. The woman snaps her fingers and says, "Hey, you." I answer, "Yes, ma'am." She says, "Where's the pop?" I tell her, I think it's 2 aisles over, but I'm not sure as I don't work here. Have a nice day though. As I unpause and start to walk away, I can feel my headphones getting ripped off from my ear, which caused my phone to fall out of my hoodie pocket with them. I stare at them for a few seconds, deciding how to react, and she says, "Serves you right, you little brat. You young people never respect your elders. How dare you turn your back to me?" I tell her, first of all, I'm 35. And second of all, for the second time now, I don't work here, so I'm not someone who's required to put up with your crap. Even if I did work here, that's no way to treat people. If this is the kind of person you are, I can only imagine what your kids are like. It's parents like you that raise these entitled little a-holes, and that's the real trouble with today's youth. Don't touch me again. Now, upon hearing that, she looked like a fish trying to inhale as much water as she could, with how her mouth was hung agape, as I turned to walk away. I then feel a strong tug on my lanyard that's literally hanging right down by my penis. I then scream at her and say, "Can you not touch that? You're really close to my penis." Now this gets the attention of a nearby manager, and the manager comes over and says, "What's going on over here?" Karen says, "This employee of yours wouldn't help me, and he swore at me." I say to the manager, "I'm sorry, but there's probably someone with a very large butterfly net looking for this woman, who just physically assaulted me twice and tried to sexually once." The woman screams, "See, he's such a smartass, and I would do no such thing." At this I say to her, ma'am, you still haven't released your hold of my lanyard that, again, for the second time, is right next to my special place. And there's cameras all over the section that's just recorded you ripping my headphones out, causing my phone to fall to the floor. The manager then looks at her, looks at me, and looks at my lanyard that she still hasn't released yet. The manager says, ma'am, he doesn't work here. He's wearing another company's name on his lanyard, and a t-shirt that says Bullet Club on it. How could you possibly think he works here? I can also clearly see that you're holding him by the lanyard that's hanging down by his privates. Can you please let go before I call security? He's also well within his rights to physically defend himself at this point. At this, the woman screams, "Well, I never." To which I respond, well, I'm sure that's not true. Can you let go of me now, please? She finally lets go and she's trespassed from the store. The manager apologizes and I told her not to worry, as it wasn't close to her fault. Guys, I'm freaking speechless at this. The manager was right. OP was well within his rights to defend himself at that point, and I can't believe she held onto his lanyard for that long, and OP just didn't judo chop her arm at that point. The management company that oversees my apartment building has always been total crap. Packages go missing from the mailroom, repairs take forever, staff are unfriendly, not at all worth what we pay in fees. There was only one solid employee, and he almost made up for everyone else's incompetence. The janitor, Ruan. He kept everything sparkling clean, and even pitched in when other people slacked off, such as helping with repairs, ID checking in the lobby, and more, just because he took pride in the building. Then the corporate oversight of the management company changed, and the new boss was having all the properties inspected to do a quality spot check on the individual building managers. Now, our manager, the winner that he is, decided the best course of action would be to not come in the day of the oversight visit, so it would have to be cancelled. The hope was that the checker would just inspect what he could without the manager on site, which wasn't much, since he'd already have made the trip out there. My apartment has terrible cell reception and no AC, so I spend a ton of time downstairs in the lobby, which has both. I was able to overhear most of the planning for this visit as a result. Now, Ruan knew too, and he was spiffing everything up like new in excitement, fixing a few broken things the repair guys ignored, and even bringing in fresh cut flowers to the lobby out of his own pocket. Ruan dressed up in a collared shirt and khakis for the visit. So when the corporate inspector arrived, Ruan was the only guy he saw. He was dressed up, so the inspector shook his hand and started rattling off the things he wanted shown to him. Now, Ruan knows this building better than anybody else on staff, so you could tell he was a little overwhelmed at being seen as the point person, but he knew the answers to every one of the inspector's questions. Meanwhile, a few tenants and contractors who frequent the building passed, and they all knew Ruan. They brought him concerns about their apartments. Those on the staff who knew we were being inspected even made a point to say, yeah, Ruan's the guy if you've got a problem. So the end of the inspection must have come because they recongregated in the lobby. The inspector told Ruan that he wanted to get his full name so he could make a note in his employee file of how well he's run the building so far, and that he'd meet with him later in the week to discuss the fixes for the problems he found. Now at this, Ruan was shocked. He said, "You want to meet with me again?" And the inspector's like, "Sure, I'm looking forward to a long working relationship. I like to meet with each building once a month. Sorry, what was your name again for the file?" Ruan told him, and the inspector goes, "Hold on, I thought someone called Eddie was the manager here." And Ruan explained, clearly embarrassed and scared that he had done something wrong, that he's not the manager, as the manager didn't come in today. The inspector then went and spoke with a few people in the building on his own, while Ruan absolutely lost it in the lobby, thinking he was going to be fired or something. Eventually, the inspector comes back and he sits Ruan down, and tells him that he might not be the manager in title, but he's the manager in action, so if he wants it, he's got a new job. The man cried. Ruan's been working as a contractor through a janitorial service, not directly for the building, so no benefits, he was considered part-time, and very little job security or support. And he'd gone from that to a cushy office job in the building that he loves in the blink of an eye. I was sitting on the couch a few spaces down from them, and I felt compelled to ask before anyone got too excited, "Hey, excuse me, can you do that, or could someone veto this?" Now I asked that because I hated to think that he'd be so excited, only to have some sort of bureaucracy or old boys club shoot down his promised opportunity. The inspector then turns to me. He informs me that he's the new COO of the management company, and final hiring decisions are at his sole discretion. He then asked who I was, and I basically said I was just leaving, and I got out of there before my big mouth complicated things any further. This week, Ruan started officially. We've gotten flowers in the lobby every day now, and a dripping faucet that I've been waiting 6 weeks to have fixed is scheduled for repair on Thursday. He didn't work there, but he does now. Guys, I love this wholesome story, and hey, Ruan deserved it. Now, this is the type of manager that you want, someone who takes pride in their work and actually gives a crap about the place. And there's no better person for the job than this man. And that, my friends, brings us to another end of our /IDontWorkHereLady. Guys, we survived another episode. If you guys enjoyed the stories, do hit that thumbs up. And if you missed the last episode on the channel, a psycho Karen rages when OP has her thieving sons thrown in jail. Check it out if you haven't, and myself and Stevie Boy will see you guys in the next one. We love you.